don't know. Different qualities of milk.
What is it with you and milk?
I love milk. Dude.
Remember when? Me too. But remember when we
It's
were coming
good
up with the
stuff.
name for this podcast, and you're like, "We should call it the Milkmen," or
The
some
Milkmen.
fucking stupid ass shit like that.
I'm gonna milk you.
Jesus Christ. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Gaming Effect. We're here with episode 14. I am your co-host, Alex, aka Soldier First Class.
I am Corey, aka Dookie03.
And it has been a long time, guys. We have not been back on the podcast for almost 2 months.
Has it been 2 months?
Dude, it has. The last time we released an episode was, I think, December 8th, and that was our Dark Souls episode. And which, by the way, guys, thank you for the support on the Dark Souls episode, because it actually ended up becoming like one of our top episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I think it's in the top 3 or top 5, maybe.
The top 5 percentile of
yeah.
podcasts?
I wish. That would be awesome. But no, top 5 of our podcast, of statistically anyway. But I do want to say thank you for being patient with us. A lot's happened in the last couple months that kept us from recording and doing a lot. And so we thank you for your patience and appreciate you guys still being here if you are. It's been a while. So what have you been up to?
Well, what have I been up to? So what do you know, like the date that the last podcast kind of went up?
I think it was
roughly?
December 8th.
December. Wow, it was like beginning of December.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been almost 2 months, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy. It doesn't feel like that long ago.
It does, but it doesn't.
I think it's because like we stream like Dragon Quest X together on like Saturday mornings, and it feels like we're doing a podcast then.
Yeah,
because we're always like bullshitting about stuff. So
well, yeah. I think the other thing too is like it does feel like it's been a long time, just because like if I don't record something, I get like the itch.
Mm-hmm.
And then if
sometimes
if plans get pushed back, like it gets annoying to me, and I start like getting anxious about it, and I'm like, got to record, and then something comes up, and then
but you can't force it either, right?
Right. Well, the problem is that like there for a while, the reason why we weren't recording was because you were getting sick, or I was getting sick.
Yeah, that was kind of like end of December. It was like that,
right? And then like my wife was getting sick, or my son was getting sick, and it's like we were kind of revolving door of sickness in this household. And like obviously, when my wife's sick, like I've got to take care of the kid by myself, and that doesn't leave a lot of time to record because depending on when he goes to bed and everything else, and it didn't really work out for our schedule to be recording, and unfortunately, it just kept getting pushed back. And even we were like minutes away from recording last week. And
even like it was like Wednesday. And
well, a couple days ago, actually, not even last week. A couple days ago, we were minutes from recording, and like I messaged you, and I was like, "Dude, it ain't gonna work tonight." Like, unfortunately, like it's just not gonna work. But we are here tonight, so we're making progress.
Perfect.
But yeah. But you're training for a tournament, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of a bit of a story, I guess. So December 8th, you said, was roughly when. So Dragon Quest Monsters of the Dark Prince came out in December. So, I mean, I've been playing the shit out of that. I finished that, did all the post-game stuff. I made a ton of videos on it. So if you guys are looking to get into the game and you got questions about it or anything like that, check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dookie03. I got a ton of videos that'll help you out. And if you have any questions, just comment anywhere and I'll do my best to help you out. But yeah, played the shit out of that. It was a fantastic game. Then it was, I think it would have been like December 27th, I want to say. We got kind of notified about a kickboxing tournament that I was going to, or I put my name in for, and I literally like found out about it as we were like driving to my in-laws for Christmas. And I told my wife, and she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, all stressed out. She like doesn't want me to tell her when I'm like fighting and stuff because to her it's just stressful, right?
Well, right. She
And
doesn't want you to get hurt and everything else. So,
yeah, yeah. So I started but the thing is, so that tournament, we only found out about 8 days in advance before, like 8 to 10 days before the tournament. Um, so I put my name in for like 145 pounds, and I at the time of finding out about the tournament, I was 158. So I cut from 158 to 145 in about 8 days, and
holy
dude,
shit.
yeah, it sucked. And not only that, but like I completely lost all my cardio. Like I have surprisingly good cardio. My Muay Thai instructor is always like saying like you've got the best cardio in the dojo and stuff like that. And like I don't feel like I do, like I don't run or anything. I'm just very like when I'm there, I'm always like very active and stuff. And I don't know, I don't get tired. But anyways, after cutting this weight, I was like getting gassed. Like I had never felt that before where you're like sparring or training and you straight up get gassed and you're just fucked. I've never felt that until that time. So anyways, it ended up falling through. I put my name in, but they didn't accept it because it was like too late. And I was like waiting to hear back, and then it sucked because I cut that much weight, right? And I wanted to fight on that in that tournament. So then, anyways, that ends. I go back to like regular training, and then I think it was like 1 or 2 weeks after that, we got word of another tournament. I reached out to the people putting it on and asked if I could put my name in, and they accepted. And there's like a whole group of us from the dojo now that are going to be competing in the tournament. And it's February 24th. I'll be doing a kickboxing tournament. So up until probably last week, fight camp was going really good. I'm back down to 145. Way too early, but whatever. The nice thing is we found out like 2 months in advance, basically, like a month and a half, say in advance. So I started cutting weight again, and I got to cut a little slower, and I didn't lose my cardio. Like I'm like this morning I weighed in at like 144.8 or something like that, and I kept my cardio this time. So now at least I know that if I don't cut like 113 pounds in or 113 pounds, if I don't cut 13 pounds in like 8 days, I'll be fine. Like my cardio will
Well, I think
be
the thing is
fine.
too, the earlier you're at that weight, the more you can get conditioned to being at
Used
that
to it.
weight, right? Like,
Yeah.
like when I would lose weight for a wrestling meet or something like that when I was in high school, like you would feel drained that day because we used to do shit like sitting we
Saunas and stuff.
I'd wear like 3 sweatshirts and 3 pairs of
Mhm.
sweatpants and sit in front of a heater and spit in a bottle. Like that's
Yeah.
the amount of like dedication we had. And, like, you know, I would my routine of eating would be like barely eating anything in the morning. Then after practice at the end, like I would eat lunch, but it wouldn't be very much. And then I would go
Mhm.
to practice and we would do like hallway runs forever. We would do stairs, then we'd go to practice, and uh, some days we would do strength training after that. Well, then we would get off practice, and my buddy and I that lived in the same town, we would ride over to the gas station after practice, get like a strawberry milk, and that was like my post workout drink or whatever. And that was just so I could make weight. And the problem is like I would get to a meet or whatever and be right at my weight, but
Drained.
feel so fucking drained. But the great
Yeah.
thing is that like my mom went to a lot of my meets, so she would bring me like a Subway
Snacks and stuff.
sandwich
Oh,
and
yeah.
a bunch of Gatorade and water and stuff and get me like replenished and everything else. So by the time that like my actual match rolled around, because sometimes like you'd weigh in and then your match wouldn't be for like an hour or two.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that it's not much time in the grand scheme of things, but when you're trying to like replenish, it can feel like very much needed time.
Oh, yeah.
And once I got to a point where I was constantly at my weight class weight, it was really nice because then I didn't have to worry about feeling that way anymore, and I could actually like my cuts weren't as bad. Like
Yeah.
I might be a pound or two over at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
And then we might not have a wrestling meet for like a week or two, and I can safely do it, and I'm still feeling like I'm at that weight. Like 2 pounds is nothing
Yeah.
over the course of like 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh
like,
yeah.
but 13 pounds in 8 days is a
It was
lot. So
fucking
I
brutal,
get
dude.
I get
I was
that.
like basically having like one meal a day and like yeah.
Yeah.
And like now I think because of that, like my stomach shrunk. So it kind of helps because like I don't eat like as like I get full a lot earlier, so it's easier to maintain like this 145. I would say like probably my natural weight now would be like probably like 148. If I like was just to like eat normal now, I think I would sit around 148, but
Mhm.
yeah, so but anyways, and then last week I got my toe all fucked up. I sent you the kind of the pictures there. And so I took it easy last week and then I went back to training this week and it's been just miserable. Like Wednesday night was just fucking I just couldn't get anything going. Like I felt like I was doing shitty. I had one guy tell me that I wasn't doing shitty, but I think he was just trying to be nice. And then tonight I was doing good. And then my whole thing is like if I'm trying not to kick with my right leg, right? Because if I impact with that toe, it's just fucked right
Are
away.
you are
Like
you right or left dominant?
so I'm orthodox. Like I'm like left hand forward, right hand back.
Okay.
But because I did karate for so long, I do most of my kicking with my left leg, thank fuck. And because I'm always injuring my right leg, I do most of my kicking off my left. But if it's open, if somebody opens up on I guess their left side, but my right side, I just like instinctively take it, right? And
Right.
so I blasted this dude twice in the leg and I was like, fuck. Cause I like the first one landed like kind of like I guess if this was my toe, it landed like here. So like my toe hit, which like if it's not injured, it's normal. Like I do that
Right.
all the time. And then I was like, ow, fuck. And then we kept going. And then he opened it and then he like wasn't checking my kick. So then I kind of doubled. And then I was like, fuck, I think it's fucked
Well,
again.
and the problem is too, like especially with like it being a big toe. I know if I hurt my toe in wrestling, it hurt to plant, like
Oh
to,
yeah.
like as anything, and
Yeah,
it
any
affects
like movement
it
this
affects
way or this way.
everything.
Yeah, it sucks. And then so I can't throw front kicks off my right leg, which I don't all the time anyways, but it's really hard like sparring injured is not probably smart and I keep doing it now because like I need to get rounds in, right? So that when the tournament comes around I'm ready for whatever. But it sucks because like I'm losing like a very valuable like part of my game, right? So yeah, it sucks.
Right, and I feel you because it's like I I didn't have many injuries during wrestling, but I had like a few,
Mhm.
and most of them were like foot related.
Yeah.
So anytime
And
you
your
in
feet, anytime it's your feet, it's just like everything's thrown off.
right, and
Everything's fucked.
yeah, and like you can't walk right, you can't like put
Mhm.
pressure right, like
Wearing shoes hurts
yeah,
right
where
now.
and wrestling shoes are tighter,
Oh yeah,
so
I forgot you wear shoes in wrestling.
yeah, and it sucks. And like the worst part is like if you go to pin somebody, you're on like the tips of your feet
Oh yeah, I guess,
like
hey.
trying to
Yeah,
plant and
yeah.
hold that pin. And the problem with that is if you got a fucked up toe, it will just devastate your foot. Like it just feels
Uh,
horrible.
yeah, I
So
believe it.
I feel you. Like it can
So I'm gonna
be
take, I think, a good.
rough.
I think I'm gonna take like 90% of next week off. Go back Friday, and hopefully it's healed up by then.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
other than that, I've been playing. I beat Dragon Quest One. I'm balls deep into Final Fantasy One Pixel Remaster. The whole plan on the YouTube channel right now is going to be to go through each Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy game, kind of like individually, and then like review, compare, and contrast them. So I'm gonna compare like Dragon Quest One versus Final Fantasy One, but the most modern version of each game. So I'm gonna be going through, and then I'll do Final Fantasy 2 versus Dragon Quest 2, and so on. So
Watch them like shadow drop the new HD remasters or whatever of Dragon Quest 1 through 3 and make your videos obsolete.
Oh, they probably will. Well, because they're working on that Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, so I'm kinda hoping it's out before I get to Dragon Quest 3, but I doubt it because I'm kinda cruising, man.
I thought about actually picking up the Pixel remasters for the PlayStation because I've heard the platinums are pretty like standard for those, and
Okay.
they're you can do them in like one playthrough, which we'll get to this in a little bit. But I've been doing platinum runs on
Yeah.
games lately, and I've been wanting to do games that only have one playthrough because I'm kind
I
of gearing.
hate when you have to do more than
Yeah,
one playthrough to get
well,
the platinum.
I'm kind of gearing up towards Dark Souls Platinum, and that one will take at least I think 2.5 playthroughs. So I'm kind of holding off on that one until I'm in the mood for that.
Oh.
Sekiro wasn't so bad because you can save scum.
Oh,
You can use
yeah.
the PlayStation's like upload save data
Cloud
to the
thing.
cloud thing to like once you get an ending, you end it and then like you reload the save at that point and you can use another ending and then you can reload
Oh,
it, do another
it's
ending.
nice. But
But
yeah, usually
yeah,
multiple playthrough trophies suck ass.
right. Oh,
Or
I agree.
missables suck.
Right.
But if you're following a trophy guide, missables aren't so bad. But then the second playthrough stuff sucks no
Yeah,
matter
see,
what.
I play those games like so. I've played Elden Ring like 6 times, and I never
Yeah,
platinumed it because I always just played to play it. Well, this
yeah,
last time, the 6th time I played it, I followed a guide like to the letter so that I could just platinum it.
yeah.
And yeah, I always play the first playthrough of those games or any game without a guide, and then if
Hmm.
I decide like I've gotten enough trophies that I'm like okay, I want to do a second playthrough, but I want to just square away the trophies I have left,
Yeah,
I will do it that way.
yeah.
But yeah, I've heard the PlayStation versions have a pretty decent platinum for all 6 pixel remasters, so I'm thinking about picking those up again.
I've been enjoying the first one. It's been really good. I turned on 4 times EXP at the start, and I kind of wish I didn't because it's
Yeah.
like too much. I'm like super over leveled right now, but
Well, and the thing is, I guess if you're playing them like to trophy hunt, doing the cheats and stuff would be fine. But
yeah,
if you're playing it to like play the game,
yeah, yeah.
then yeah, it probably wouldn't be
It's nice, like, if you're just trying to, like, experience the story again or something like that, like, if you already
right.
played through it, but,
Right. So
um, yeah. Oh, I'm streaming on YouTube now too, guys,
yeah,
so if you're not on Twitch, check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dookie03 if you wanna hang out while I play classic, Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games. It's mostly what I've been playing lately.
sounds good. By the way, I do want to give a shout out to Kyle who's been really watching our podcast a lot and um he has commented on stuff lately. If I could log into my
And that what is it, Wiz Catches Lightning? That dude's always commenting too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just want to give us
I think we were gonna do like a Q&A for episode 15 too. So if you guys have any questions, maybe post them in the comments here in this podcast
trying to find the okay,
or on.
Kyle commented on our Dark Souls episode. My first one was Bloodborne. It started my Souls obsession and really showed me what I'm capable of. And just like Alex, I now play most games on hard. Yeah, that's the one thing that I've had come about with me playing the Souls games is that now I play them all on hard. So it's cool that those have had that effect on you as well, Kyle. And again, thank you for commenting on the
Yeah,
podcast
for
episode
sure.
on the Spotify app. That reminds me, guys, don't forget we are on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud for now, and
Pornhub.
yeah, Pornhub. Whatever
But you
random.
gotta have Pornhub Gold to watch
Yeah,
our
true.
stuff.
Yeah, you have to be a subscriber on Pornhub Gold
We
to
only do butt stuff.
right. Well, ear stuff too, but that's part of our OnlyFans also.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ. My family watches no. But we appreciate it, guys, for watching on all the platforms and stuff and liking and sharing it. It means a lot to us, and I know it's been a while, but we appreciate you. So you kind of gave us a little bit of what you've been playing or whatever. Are there any new
Yeah.
games coming out that you're excited for?
I would say probably like if the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D actually comes out this year, I'm excited for that. Um, I'm excited to get more news on Dragon Quest 12. I think that would be something that hopefully happens soon. And then Yakuza 8 or Like a Dragon 8, whatever you want to call it. I'm excited for it, but I don't know when I'm gonna play it because I
Infinite
got all
Wealth.
these I got all these
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games I want to kind of replay through again. So
Yeah, I've been playing Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who
right, you were
erased his
just
name. It's
saying,
pretty
yeah.
good. It's pretty good so far.
I thought you said man with the racist name.
No. Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
So, are you excited for that new Akira Toriyama game, or is it just something that you're not like
Oh,
even...
is it called Sandland?
Yeah, Sandland or Sandworld or something like
Yeah,
that.
Sandland. So I read the manga like a long fucking time ago.
Oh, it's a
Actually,
manga?
yeah, it was originally a manga.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
It was like shortly after like Dragon Ball Z kind of like ended the Sandland manga, and the main character, I believe his name was like Beelzebub. He's like a little devil guy, and it was fucking pretty cool actually. So I probably won't play it, but it looks good. If you're into like, I think it's like an open world kind of actiony style action adventure game. So if you're into those games, I would recommend checking it out. I mean, the story was really good, like of the manga and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's weird that it's getting a manga and then maybe it's getting a game, but like not an anime. It's always weird when they jump straight to video game instead of
Yeah.
anime, but maybe it is getting an anime now. But it's been so long, like it's old now. It's an
So,
old manga now.
so we kind of gave an update on what you've been doing gaming wise. I, however, have been completing games a lot. It's January 26th, and I have 6 platinums on video games already.
That's crazy.
I know. I've completed Sekiro Platinum, High on Life. It's that game by the guys that made Rick and Morty.
Okay.
I platinumed. Let's see, what else did I platinum? ffxiv.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't have like online trophies?
It does, and those were obviously like the worst fucking ones.
Yeah, they usually I just like don't even attempt to because
Yeah,
the online stuff is so bad.
They were fucking terrible. Like they weren't. I don't know.
Sometimes you can cheese your way to victory, though.
Yeah, they weren't bad, but it was mostly like I had to fight the same. Like I think the worst part was probably the grind of them. Because you have to prestige a
a move like
your fighter.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like you have to prestige your fighter, and that fighter has to like you have to get to 1,000 skill points, and to get to 1,000 skill points it's rough. Like it takes a lot of fights, especially if you lose a lot. Like it can take forever. But yeah, I think that was probably the worst grind I've had besides the Sekiro Platinum. The Sekiro Platinum fucking drained my soul. Like it was fun. The only thing that I didn't like about it was the skill points thing, because you had to get the skill points to finish out like the tree or whatever, and once you finish out the tree you get a trophy for it for getting all the skills. Let's see. So
so you had to fill out the whole skill tree.
Right, and there's 5 skill trees that you have to finish, and some of them are smaller than others, so there's not like a lot of skills.
Oh.
And then the last skill tree is like a combination of all the skill trees. There's like a special move that you get for completing the skill trees that you only get in that bracket.
Right.
So, that one was a little rough, not gonna lie. I got the platinum for, this is gonna be funny, but SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Hey, I heard that. I remember people loving the original game. Like,
Yeah,
back when it came out.
It wasn't that bad. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. Let's see, what else did I get the platinum on? I said Eternites already.
I don't think you did.
Okay, well, Eternites is another one I got. I got the platinum on. Let's see. I'm trying to think because
I don't get platinums on very many games. Like, it's got to be a game that I absolutely love, and the platinum can't take like a whole lot of effort. Like, I think I got the platinum in Final Fantasy VIII, the HD whatever version.
Okay,
Um,
here's my official list:
oh, there you go.
Sekiro, Eternites, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, High on Life, and ffxiv.
I've only got like so
I think I
um
have 22 total platinums right now. I'm gonna go for the one for Like a Dragon Gaiden before I
some of the
play
Yakuza
the new
ones
one.
are fucking
Dude,
grindy.
I will probably not do any other Yakuza game unless it's like maybe 7, because 7 I already have a lot of the trophies on.
Yeah,
And
same.
a lot of the Yakuza games require like 2 or 3 playthroughs to get them
Yeah,
all.
well, and there's so many mini games and stuff in them
Well,
too,
there's mini
right?
games, there's like
Side stories
side
out the
stories.
ass.
You have to complete all the side stories. You have to, I mean,
Mm.
and I think some of them are missable. Like some of the
Yeah,
side
they
stories
are.
are missable depending on where you're at in the story, and I'm not gonna fucking
Go through,
right.
yeah,
Like you'd have to follow a guide pretty much.
to the T, and they're big games,
They
man.
are big games. Even though like the area that they're in, like they're not open world, they're more sandbox. So
Yeah.
the play area is really small, but there's so much to do in them, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you can go in like probably like I don't know, like 30 to 40% of the buildings have something to do in.
Right, like the arcades, the shops, the
Yeah.
like sometimes there's missions that take place inside of buildings.
You know what sucks is like Sega doesn't have any of their like 90s early 2000s arcade games available on like home console or like any gaming service.
But they're
So
in
like
Yakuza.
but they're in Yakuza, so like the only way you can play some of these like classic Sega arcade games is by buying a
Yeah,
Yakuza
like I
game.
was playing Sonic Fighters today.
Sonic the Fighters, you can get
Yeah.
that on PS3. I have it on PS3.
I also had
That game's super fun.
I was also playing Virtua Fighter. Uh was it Viper Fighter or Pit Vipers or
Fighting
something?
Vipers?
Fighting Vipers, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a racing game and then there was another like driving game, but I don't remember what it was. It was almost like NASCAR.
Oh, yeah, Daytona, USA, probably.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but
You would know because it goes Daytona.
no, I don't think it was. And then the claw machines and stuff. So like they also added in Like a Dragon Gaiden the Master System.
Oh,
So-
you can play a Sega Master System?
Yeah, there's like a trophy for playing I think 6 or 10 games or something on the retro console.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I have to get it now.
Um,
What games are
I don't know.
in?
I haven't unlocked it yet.
Oh, fuck me, dude. I love the Master System.
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been platinuming games lately, and that's kind of guided what I've been playing. Like I got the platinum for Elden Ring last year, right before the end of the year, and a few others. So I'm up to 22 now. I got about partway through the Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage platinum,
Mm.
and I just got fucking frustrated with it.
Oh,
It's
I
not-
got this. I beat Spyro 1.
It's not
in
hard.
that collection.
It's not hard, but it can be like kind of tedious and
Ripto's Rage has a lot of like extra content.
It
like,
does.
a lot because you get all the gems and then you got to get all the orbs and then you got to get all the. They like keep adding stuff and then once you get it all, you get access to like this little carnival fair area.
Mhm.
And yeah, I actually got that when I was a kid. Like I 100%
So-
of that game.
What's funny is the first game, if you were to go back and put platinum trophies on the PlayStation, Spyro 1 is the first game I would have ever actually platinumed.
Like 100%ed.
Yeah, because in Spyro 1 you can actually get 120%.
Oh right, yeah.
And in the
I
original
forgot
game,
games used to show like what
Yeah.
percent. Yeah.
and in the original game on PlayStation 1 I had the 120%. So I would have actually gotten the platinum trophy back
Had it
then.
existed.
And now I have it actually on the PS4 version of it.
Dude, you know what sucked? So Xbox 360 had achievements right out of the gate. but the PS3 didn't have trophies until like a few years later.
Yeah.
And I remember beating like Metal Gear Solid 4 and like basically 100%ing Metal Gear Solid 4. And then it was like 2 or 3 years later they added trophies. And I was like, fuck me, man. Cause you'd have to like replay. And it's a big game.
Yeah.
I've never actually sat down and replayed that one.
What's funny is like I never used to be into like completing games or like platinuming games or anything. Like
Yeah.
I would just play the story and maybe some of the side quests and stuff and then call it a day. But
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if like maybe it was I played South Park Fractured But Whole, and that was my first ever platinum.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah. And then like I started getting platinums and I'm like, this is okay. Like I got the Persona 5 Royal Platinum, which only took one playthrough. And then
good.
yeah. Well, it should for being a 135-hour fucking game.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you can miss out on some things if you don't do them. They're very hard to miss, but you can miss them.
There's like a time frame, like a time period.
Right.
That
There's a time frame. But mostly it's a pretty easy platinum. But yeah, I just never got into a game so much that I loved it enough to platinum it.
Right.
There were just very few games. Like Ghost of Tsushima was one. The Spider
would be a lot of stuff.
It actually wasn't that bad. The grind wasn't that bad.
I still haven't played that game. I own it now.
It's really good. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, that's what
probably one of my.
I'm like a big samurai movie.
It's
fan
probably
too.
one of my favorite games of all time. It is that good, dude. I got the platinum for Elden Ring, which is probably Sekiro and Elden Ring are probably my two. I would even add Bloodborne is probably my 3 most proudest platinums. But yeah, I just never got into games as much as a lot of these like trophy hunters and stuff do. And I don't know what clicked, but for some reason, I don't know if it was like Elden Ring or what it was, but something clicked, and now I've just been on a tear of completing games 100% before I move on to the next one. And I think for me, it's providing value in the game more so than the original price tag. Because games are so expensive that like if you're buying a game and you're putting 10 hours into it and you paid $60 for it and then that's all you put into it, it's kind of that's $6 an hour.
Yeah.
As opposed
games
to
are
like
$90 here.
I know.
It's fucking ridiculous.
As opposed to if I put 60 hours into a game that's $60, I'm getting $1 an hour. That's a good value.
Yeah.
know. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of I'm paying now $70 to $80 for a game.
Getting that Chinese sweatshop value out of your games.
Yeah. I'm going to get my money's worth out of that game. Whether, like, okay, ffxvi. That is a game that you pick up and play for 10, 15 hours. You probably put it down because career mode's over. Unless you're like an online guy.
And then you start another career in like 7 months. I just did that with UFC 4 like a month or so ago. I started a new career that I've been just putzing away at.
Right. So it's like I've actually been getting value out of these games that I never would have gotten before. Like Spider-Man, I platinum every Spider-Man game from Insomniac that comes out. I have the platinum for the PS4 version of Spider-Man. I have the platinum for the PS5 remaster. I have it for Miles Morales, and I now have it for Spider-Man 2. So any Insomniac game that like Wolverine, I'm going for the platinum. Like, my 2 favorite Marvel characters ever have video games. I'm going for the fucking platinum.
Yeah. Did you ever play was it PS3 Spider-Man or X-Men games or Wolverine game?
Yes.
It was really good.
The movie tie-in one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was. I don't even like those kind of games really, but it was good. My most proud platinum would be Metal Gear Solid 3, the HD remaster or whatever. Not like the new one, but the one on the PS3. That took a lot of time because you have to shoot all the frogs and you have to beat it on European extreme difficulty. So if you get seen, it's game over.
See, I want to
super hard, man.
I kind of want to try the Dishonored Platinum. The problem with the Dishonored Platinum is you have to play the entire game without ever getting seen.
Yeah, that's how European extreme
without
is.
raising an alarm, without ever
Yeah.
being seen, without I think there's one where you have to do like a pacifist run where you cannot kill any of your
Yeah,
targets.
that was Metal Gear Solid 3 had that as well.
And I'm
I can't
like,
remember if you could get a caution though. I can't remember if it was like you could get, because you've played a Metal Gear game
yeah,
before,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I played
And
one
it goes
recently.
caution before you get like alert. I can't remember if you were able to get caution or not even that. I can't remember, but
There's
if you got alert,
also
it was definitely game over.
yeah, it's funny because like when I was first starting my platinum runs, like several months back, I was actually going to use Metal Gear Solid as my starting point for my platinum runs,
Right.
and I was gonna wait for the HD remaster because I was like, well, I started playing the first one on an emulator, and then I found out that the new ones were coming out soon, so I was like, well, I'll just get the HD remasters and just go for the platinum on there, and that will start my run of platinums. Well,
I heard they weren't very good.
yeah, I watched some reviews and stuff on them, and like the frame rate was weird, and like
Oh, really?
the version of Metal Gear Solid 1 was like the PAL version, so it was like
Oh, why do they do that?
it was like 50 hertz, and there was like some weird like glitchy stuff going on with it, and like
Get the PS3 ones, man. I think you could probably just get
yeah,
them on the
and it's
PlayStation
like
Store.
they didn't even swap the versions of 2 and 3. They were literally just like copy and paste from the Xbox 360 versions.
Really?
So I'm like, what is the fucking point? Like, I was so disappointed in that. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna buy these games. Like, fuck it, you know? So I didn't
Yeah.
end up playing them, but I was like, I kind of wanted to replay all 3 of those games.
Yeah, they're
But
good.
then I found out it was basically just the same version as the PS3 and Xbox 360 version. So I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I heard it's even shittier than those versions.
Yeah,
to be
it
honest.
is. Now, it does come with a bunch of extra content, like a bunch of like almost dossier style like information chunks and stuff that
Oh,
you can
yeah.
look at, but not really worth it when the games are $70 and
Yeah.
they're not even improved versions. They're just literally like either worse versions or the same as the old ones. Which I get
grabbed
it.
the Cowabunga collection.
Oh,
finally.
is that the one with the Turtles in Time and all the different turtle
Yeah,
games?
it's all like the NES, the
Oh, nice.
Game Boy, the Genesis, and Super NES, and then it's got the arcade games. So the first arcade game and Turtles in Time as well.
So to add on to what I'm excited for, I would have to say the next games that I'm excited for are probably Yakuza
Infinite Wealth.
Infinite Wealth. I'm looking at Persona 3 Reloaded, but I'm not like super into it yet. I want to play it because I've never played Persona 3, so it would be my first time playing Persona 3.
I've heard 3, 4, and 5 are all really fucking good.
They are. The only thing I didn't like about 4 is that the dungeons are like kind of procedurally generated.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
And
hate mazes too.
Yeah.
And like all Persona games apparently are like mazy as fuck.
5 isn't bad. 5 Royal.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard 5 isn't bad.
Yeah, 5 Royal isn't bad. It's kind of mostly in hallways, but then yeah, I haven't played 3, so I'm kind of excited for that. Obviously, I think everybody knows I'm not excited for the game that comes out shortly after Persona 3 Reloaded, and that's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So that's not on my radar at all, but yeah, I think 2024 does not seem like it's going to be the same year as 2023.
No.
For
and
games.
I'm okay with that, man, because like we had so many fucking good games last year.
Yeah, we need to catch up.
Yeah.
Also, and this is going to be part of the topic that we're going to be talking about here in a second, but it's hard to celebrate games right now because of the state of the industry.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
And it sucks because it's like you want to celebrate the devs that still have jobs, but you can't help but feel like the games right now that are coming out are a little bit tainted.
Yeah.
And
no doubt.
It sucks because like, and we'll just, we'll just go ahead and get into the topic because we might as well.
I just want to add one more thing before we leave completion stuff. I used to be a completionist like until I started streaming. So it's kind of funny that like we kind of like swapped. Like you never were like a trophy hunter, 100%er, but I was like, dude, every game I played, I had to have like every like item, every dungeon
Yeah.
I had to do. I was like that with everything until I started streaming. Like there's a game on the PS2 called Rogue Galaxy, and there's these things called the 7-star swords, which are like these legendary swords. And like, there's no way, unless you are going to spend like 200 to 300 hours in the game, you're never going to get all 7 of the legendary 7-star swords. I had all 7. I had them all souped up to the max. And this was on PS2. And then, of course, they remastered it on PS4 and added trophies. And I was like, nah. But yeah, and then there's the ghost ship at the post game. There's like this ghost ship. It's like 300 floors of like dungeon, but but it has like this Pokemon style mini game, and the best Insectron is on the captain's seat of the ghost ship, which is the final floor. So it's like I had to have it, right? I had to have everything, man. I put over 300 hours in that game.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't really talk. I've put over 400 in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy though.
yeah. But well, and a lot more in Final Fantasy 14. So
yeah, that's an MMO.
Yeah,
like,
true.
MMOs don't really count. Like I probably put like 600 hours in Star Trek Online,
Right.
but I've been playing it off and on since like 2012.
Yeah, you got a point. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about a little bit the state of the industry right now, because it's kind of a big topic right now, and I feel it's something that we do need to talk about, because as a gaming podcast, it's pretty current news, especially just a couple days ago with Microsoft laying off 1,900 people out of its 22,000 people workforce. I mean, that's almost 10% of their workforce.
Crazy,
just got randomly cut. Now, I do want to give the caveat that obviously they just had a giant merger with Activision Blizzard. There's going to be people filling roles that are kind of redundant, and in any corporate merger, you're going to have people lose jobs, because obviously you're not going to have 3 people doing the same job.
Yeah.
That one person could do.
They already have a guy for that position. Yeah.
It makes sense that people are going to lose their jobs over a merger, because it's just the way
Not
it
that
goes.
many.
But not 1,900. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's insane.
What kills me about it too is like, instead of finding other jobs for those people to do, they just are like, fuck it, you're gone. And the problem is some of them aren't getting severance packages. And it's
really?
Like, the gaming industry is bigger than it's ever been. Like,
oh, easily.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars.
It's bigger than Hollywood. It's bigger than the movie industry now.
Like, I'm pretty sure Bobby Kotick just got a $400 million severance package for retiring from, well, technically Microsoft, but Activision Blizzard. Like, how are you giving that guy $400 million, but you're not keeping the guys that you probably pay $60,000 to work for you?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Obviously, like we said, the merger, and, that happens, and you're not going to have this many people doing that many jobs, and blah, blah, blah. Find other jobs for them. You're a massive company. Move them to another division. Make positions for these people. Like, I feel like 1,900 out of 22,000.
I could say 200.
Right. Or
you
even,
know what I mean?
Or even 500.
Yeah.
But 1,900 out of 22,000.
That's insane, dude.
Like, and then I think they said the statistic right now is that there's been 5,900 layoffs.
Holy fuck.
Just this month alone. Just like within this year. So, for comparison, there was I want to say there was 14,000 last year total. And we're already at almost half that now.
Jeez.
Like, a Riot Games just let go of, I think, 5,000 to 1,000 people. Just the last week. And it makes you wonder, and obviously I think we've been talking about this for a long time, but AAA development is not sustainable right now.
No, it's garbage. Like, look at...
Insomniac spent $315 million on Spider-Man 2.
That's insane.
Like, I might be a little bit off with that estimate. I know it was over 300,000, but I don't remember how much. But I think it was 315,000 or million that they spent on Spider-Man 2 alone.
I do remember seeing a thing saying that they're going to be cutting back what they spend on the next,
Like, you would have
like,
to,
big name
dude.
games.
I mean, even if you I understand that if you sold 10 million copies at $60 a piece or $70 a piece, you're going to make quite a bit of your money back, right? I get all
Yeah.
that. But eventually your costs are going to outweigh your sales. What happens?
Oh, yeah.
What happens if you spend $300 million on a game and it only makes 150 million gross?
Exactly. You're
Like,
fucked.
you are not accounting for the fact that your game might not sell.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man is an IP that is going to sell because it's a comic book thing. It's a video game thing. People love Spider-Man. It's a huge, huge
And
IP.
Insomniac has a huge
good track
reputation.
record.
Yep.
Right. A good track record. However, eventually superhero burnout is going to hit an all-time high.
Yeah, well, it has in the movies.
Yeah, and it's already hit the movie industry. And
like after the first Avengers movies.
Well, like
when it hit me.
after Endgame,
Dude, I didn't even get that far.
Just fucking plummeted. And so eventually that's going to hit the video game industry. It's just inevitable. So what happens when Spider-Man is no longer a console seller? What happens when Insomniac has to resort to other games to sell other than that IP?
Well, look at the shitty that shitty Square Enix was it Avengers or something?
Yes. They lost money on that.
Oh, they lost out the ass. But what I was going to say is you've got like all these idiot CEOs that probably don't know anything about gaming that are just running these companies into the ground. Like Square Enix, everyone was like all stoked because they got this new CEO because the last one was all NFT horny. But now this guy's like, he just said in like a statement like last week or the week before that they're gonna focus more away from JRPGs and gonna focus more on other like genres. So now they're pushing. How many fucking emails have you got on like what is it called? Splatoon, like their Splatoon ripoff,
Foam Stars.
Yeah, like nobody's playing that shit.
Yeah, it'll be a game that lasts like 2 or 3 weeks, and then that's it. Like,
yeah, and here's the stupid thing. It's so incredibly insane and stupid because they literally just axed all their IDOS games for this exact reason. They literally were like, wow, these were all epic failures. Forspoken, epic failure. Fucking all their Tomb Raider
actually,
stuff.
Forspoken was an in-house game.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a JRPG, right? Like,
right.
Their only games where they're like making money instead of losing it out the ass is JRPGs. And they're like spending all their money on fucking all these shit games that are low quality, like cash in on like popular fucking ripoffs of games that were popular like 2 years ago.
Right. Well, I mean, look at First Soldier. That game came out and it was literally Final Fantasy VII Fortnite. Fortnite came out however many years ago. Like, if you were going to hop on that train, you should have hopped on that train when Call of Duty did it. You should have hopped on that train when Fortnite was getting popular.
When what was it? Apex Legends?
Apex Legends. H1Z1. Like, you've got to jump on that trend when it's riding high. But if you jump in 3 years later, that trend...
Nobody gives a fuck.
Right. Nobody gives a fuck because they're already playing Fortnite. They're going to play it because it's Final Fantasy VII. They're going to play it because it plays like Fortnite. Like...
And then...
You're imitating something.
But they keep axing all their mobile games, too.
Right, all their mobile games.
They're like, let's focus on mobile games, guys, and then axe them all so they have no consumer trust. Like,
which is insane, because if you look at it...
Saga right now, man.
If you look at it, mobile gaming in Japan is the biggest part of their market. Like, it is... Like, look at how popular the Switch is there. Look at how popular phone gaming is there. That's why games like Dissidia Opera Omnia...
That's fucking getting the axe, though.
That's getting the axe. First Soldier got the axe.
Dragon Quest Tact is getting the axe.
That got the axe. Near Reincarnation just got the axe. They axed Chocobo Racers or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah, that one was fucking bad. Dude.
Yeah,
I pre-ordered that game.
Like, the games that they sell are mobile and Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. Why are you focusing away from those games? Those are the games that keep you afloat. Like, Final Fantasy 14 is keeping your doors open.
Yep.
So you need to be riding the Final Fantasy brand like they used to, not fucking trying to move away from it. Like, I get trying to expand. You don't want to be known. It's like an actor not wanting to be typecast.
Why are they not making a fucking Chrono Trigger pixel remaster? Like, it prints money, dude.
Right. It is
fucking prints money.
I'm sorry, and I'm going to sound like such a fucking boomer when I say this.
They have the dumbest fucking marketing plan.
I feel like that company went downhill the day that Sakaguchi left that company.
Oh, it started, definitely.
And I know what people are going to come back with. They're going to say, oh, the Spirits Within. Oh, this business venture, that business venture.
Dude, Spirits Within was awful.
Fucking Sakaguchi got them to the dance.
Absolutely.
You know, Sakaguchi...
So did like absolute high-class, high-quality JRPGs. That's literally what they're known for. They're not known for anything else.
Well, the thing was, Final Fantasy to me is not copying... I guess technically you could say it copied Dragon Quest, but it copied something...
blazed its own trail.
It copied something within its own genre.
Yeah,
now,
and then branched off and blazed its own trail.
Right. Square Enix is trying to do this thing where all their games that are of a certain type are now jumping on trends.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you are only getting short-term success because trends are forever fleeting. Like, you look at TikTok, perfect example.
I try not to.
I know. Same. Short 30-second to 60-second videos. And you see these waves, like if you get your algorithm stuck in a wave, you see all these different memes of the same meme. People are hopping on the meme train, and then eventually someone comes out with a new meme, and everybody's hopping on that, and then the old meme's just dead. Video games are the same way, dude. If you look at video games and how they've trended, you see things like Fortnite. Every company starts making a Fortnite version.
Yeah.
You see things like
Among Us.
You see things like Minecraft. Now there's all these builders games.
Yeah, Dragon Quest builders,
Splatoon. Now all of a sudden there's Foam Stars. There's going to be other games that are like that are coming out.
Here's the thing with
it's like there's no identity anymore, and it blows my mind because to me, Square Enix always had an identity.
Yeah, they did. Not only did they blaze their own trail, they set the trends at the time, like in their day. They were the peak of highest quality graphics, highest quality like storytelling, highest quality gameplay, like turn-based gameplay. Like, I don't know, man. They were trendsetters, and now they're just followers. And
I hate to see
followers
it too.
that are so late to the party all the time.
And I hate to see it too because it is a company that I grew up with. It's a company that I love, and it's like watching your friend go into this state of decline.
It's like watching your friend like get into drugs or something. Like you know what I mean? Like become a heroin addict.
And everybody's like, "Oh, there's so many great games coming out of Square Enix." They're not marketing them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many good games that Square Enix makes to this day, not named Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, that are coming out that they don't market.
Dude, they don't even market Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest, dude. So I guess I could talk about this because we didn't really talk about the success of Dragon Quest Monsters since it came out.
Right.
Dragon Quest Monsters, within like 2 weeks, had sold out physical copies across Japan and fucking North America. They still haven't like printed new copies. And they were like sold out in like 2 weeks. Like, it's almost impossible to find a physical copy of Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. And it's like, they didn't promote it. There's still people commenting on my videos saying, I didn't even know this game was out. I loved Dragon Quest Monsters on the Game Boy. It's like, holy fuck, dude. These are fans that have been waiting for fucking 20 years for this game that they don't even know is out yet because you didn't fucking promote it at all.
And if you think about it, like, not everybody is like us. Like, there is a large subset of the gaming community that looks up news and rumors, and we do it because of what we do.
Yeah.
And we're very into the video game world. But the average casual person doesn't look at marketing. They don't look they see a commercial on TV, or they see like an ad on the internet, or they see it on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But the general public does not like get as in depth with like reading news
Exactly.
articles and looking, you know, they wait until they see it on a shelf or something and then they look up a review. Like
Yeah.
that's what the casual video
Or
game
they'll
audience
see-
is, and
or
that's
they'll
what
see
makes up
ads
the most
in
of your
YouTube
sales.
videos or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
And-
at least that's the least they could do is promote it in like YouTube ads instead of seeing the same Kia commercial for the 500th time.
Look at how many people I see saying, "Oh, I love Bravely Default. I love Octopath Traveler 2. I love The World Ends with You. I love all these IPs from Square Enix that they never market."
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to give them a chance, but you're like, dude, why are you not marketing these games?
And then every once in a while, they put like the least possible effort into it, like that. They did that ActRaiser sequel or I still don't even know if it's a sequel or a remake.
I think it's a remake.
And it was apparently like absolute dog shit. They did that Valkyrie. I don't know if it's Square Enix, but so they did that Valkyrie profile.
It was
that new one, and apparently it was absolute dog shit. Speaking of following trends, like Final Fantasy 16 was 100% just trying to follow what was popular at the time. It was nothing like any Final Fantasy game. Like
they were trying to
gameplay-wise.
capture that Western audience, and I think what they don't. I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16, not so much my second playthrough because I felt like I was just going through the motions with it.
Yeah.
First playthrough, I loved it. Second playthrough, I kind of felt like it was dragging a little bit because I was trying to get the platinum and everything else. But the problem is that Final Fantasy used to have an identity as the JRPG frontrunner in the world. And it still is. I think, like, for the most part.
I don't think it is now.
I think other games are showing that the JRPG genre is not all just Final Fantasy. But I still think if you're going to think of a JRPG, Final Fantasy is the first game.
You think so?
I think so. I think Final Fantasy is the first series that will pop into the average person's mind when they think JRPG. However, that being said, the reason that is because of the pre-established
legacy.
The legacy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that legacy since probably around the time of 13 has not been looked at the greatest.
Yeah.
Other than Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, and I liked 15, but it's not the same. It's not what you're looking for in a Final Fantasy game. You know what I mean?
It's a westernized JRPG.
Yeah.
Is all it is. And like, I like the games. I'm not like, this is not me disparaging the games. I'm just saying this is my perspective as somebody that grew up playing 1 through 16 now.
Yeah.
Of what I've seen over the years. And like, I say all this stuff from a place of love because I love this company and I love what they do.
We want it to succeed again.
We want it to succeed again. And maybe this is just the boomer in us talking, but I truly believe that if they went back to their roots, they could sell millions of copies. And I don't just mean like 3 to 5. I mean like Final Fantasy 7 numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
with proper marketing and the game that actually brings everything back and has the effort put into it that the classics had at the time, like they could blow the roof off of the industry.
I'm not saying you have to do a pixel version of Final Fantasy 17.
No.
Like
I'm not like that.
Yeah, it would be cool. I'm not saying like it has to be a mixture of modern graphics and whatever. It could be another Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think you would sell numbers.
Yep.
If you show, and that's the thing too, they want to westernize because they want to capture a bigger Western audience. Most of your audience is Western.
Yeah.
Most of your primary sales come from the West.
And now they've been burnt like how many times since like Final Fantasy 13 came out and
it's like,
it's just they've ruined their reputation.
Obviously what we wanted from the beginning was Japanese media.
Yeah.
If we wanted Western media, we would buy Western media.
Exactly.
The reason we enjoy these games and these anime and these...
because what they were. Is because of what they are. Yeah.
They're not our style. Like,
yeah.
It's a way to find other cultures and other styles that are not your own.
Exactly. That's
And
like it's like honestly, if you think about it, it's like a Japanese restaurant opening, and then they serve all this great Japanese food. And growing up as a kid, you remember always eating there with your family and stuff. And then all of a sudden, they start selling cheeseburgers, and their Japanese menus like slowly going like diminishing down to like California rolls.
and I
And then they're like, why isn't anyone eating here anymore?
right. Well, and the other thing too is like, I guess from that perspective. Now let me reverse the perspective from the developer's view and play devil's advocate here. These developers have been making Japanese games their entire career. So I understand that there's the want to make something different. There's a want to make something new. And
But
doing
Square
that
Enix made a variety of different franchises that
right.
all had different gameplay styles and
And
stuff.
doing that means you might have to make a Final Fantasy game that is an action-based game. And that's just the nature of it. And I completely understand that, and I appreciate that as somebody that can appreciate an art form that video games is, and also somebody that doesn't want to constantly make the same thing over and over again. I completely understand that. But if your reasoning is that you're trying to capture a Western audience, there's a fucking reason why we all bought Final Fantasy VII. There's
Yeah,
a
there's a
reason we
market
all
for
bought
that,
Final
man.
Fantasy VIII and 9 and 10 and 12. There's a
Yeah.
reason we like Japanese media. It's why Berserk is one of the biggest manga / anime in the world. It's
Dragon Ball, fuck man.
Dragon Ball, One Piece, all of these anime that are out. Yeah, all of these anime
One
that are
piece
out
of
there.
shit.
The reason we like them is because they are not our culture. Because there's something different. Because there's something.
Yeah, we're looking for something different.
We're
man.
looking for something different. Because Western
And
media
unique.
fucking sucks.
Yeah, it does for the most part.
Like,
except South Park. South Park,
yeah,
dude.
South
I've been
Park's
getting
so
caught
good.
up. I've been getting caught up on South Park, and it's still
It's so
as good
good.
as it was when
You
I
need
was,
to
like,
watch the new
fucking-
specials. They're so good.
I saw the I just finished the vaccination special. That was
Watch
the last one I saw.
watch the cred one. Watch the fucking
Oh, I'll be watching them all. I just gotta get caught up.
dude. You definitely need to watch that one because it's got OnlyFans, it's got cred, it's got all that. It's fucking hilarious, dude. You
Yeah,
see
I'm
Randy's
excited.
dick for at least 20 minutes of the entire episode.
What?
It's hilarious.
Dude, it did suck during the Tegrity Farms arc, and it lasted like way too long.
Yeah,
There was definitely a big lull there, but I feel like it's getting good again.
yeah. It goes in waves. But yeah, I don't know. We maybe were a little bit harsh in our rant on Square Enix,
I don't
but
think
then
we
again,
are, man.
I honestly don't feel like we are. And
Again,
know.
it's like one of your best friends that you grew up with and then like you meet them again, and every time you meet them you're like, man, I think they're on meth or some shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, man, and you're like, you really want them to get the help they need and like turn their life around. That's kind of where we're coming from,
right.
when it comes
It's
to
like
Square Enix.
And I know there's going to be at least one person that either listens to this or watches it or whatever that's going to say, oh, you're just bitter about Remake not turning out the way you wanted and everything else, and that's why you feel this way. It's like, no, I felt this way before Remake came out.
Oh yeah.
And I was hoping that Remake would be the one that switched me over, that turned it around for me, and it wasn't. And that's kind of why I'm like,
yeah.
I'm okay with voicing my opinion now because I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care if fucking Joe Blow Blue Hair on the fucking Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it calls me a fucking idiot and says, you're dumb, I hate your opinion, blah, blah, blah. Because guess what? I don't fucking care anymore. You people, not you, the audience, but speaking to those people, have ruined any sense of give a fuck that I have anymore. I mean, that's the whole reason I came back to do this podcast, is because I just don't give a shit anymore. I'm going to say what I want to say when I want to say it about what I want to say it about.
Exactly.
And that's
why.
What's
the point? I feel like with as like a big part of like the whole reason we started the podcast was like, so many creators are fake, and I was really hoping that this was gonna like turn around, but it's just getting worse and worse.
It is.
Like, people, I don't know if it's like people just want people to agree with them, and I think that's also like you see like politics and stuff now is so divided too. Like, back in even like the 90s, whoever the prime minister or president was, like, everybody ripped on him, right? But now you if I rip on Biden or I rip on Trump, you have like half the population who's like, oh, fuck you. Like they're like mad about it. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, back in the 90s, you always just ripped on everything that your fucking leaders did, man. And now it's like, everything's so divided.
You know how many blowjob jokes got made after Clinton got
Clinton?
busted in the Oval Office? Like,
Yeah, dude.
everybody was making them.
The oral office.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring that up, because me and my wife, and this is not really even about politics or anything, but me and my wife were talking the other night about movies and stuff, and like comedies and stuff like that. And it's like, I feel like shit has just gotten so tame. Like, you couldn't make Tropic Thunder today.
No, you couldn't make any of those like 80s comedies like at all.
You couldn't make The Ringer today, and The Ringer has like a great message, but you couldn't make it today because someone would say that it was making fun of the mentally challenged.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I've never seen that movie, but the only part I know is when they're like sitting on the bleachers and they're like, when the fuck did we get ice cream?
That movie is so fucking funny.
That's the only thing of the whole movie
you need to take a few hits and then watch that movie, because dude,
yeah, I feel like it's one of
the last time I did, oh my god, I laughed so fucking hard, my chest hurt. Like,
my favorite movies are like as far as comedies go, are like those ridiculous like 10 million jokes per second 80s movies, like Airplane, and like stuff like that, man. Like, oh my god, fucking like the Naked Gun like movies.
So Leslie Nielsen is like your favorite?
Yeah, dude, like Leslie Nielsen comedy movies, because like you've got it. Like, I remember I've watched Airplane like probably 500 times, and every time I'm like catching new jokes that are just like, if you're looking like in the background, there's like shit going on. It's like in one scene there's like 500 jokes, man. I
always feel so stupid because
movies take themselves too seriously now too, I think.
Well, every movie is trying to send some fucking message now. And whether it's anti this or pro this, or like everybody's like trying to shove women into everything, and not that that's bad, like I'm not saying that, I'm just saying like, no, movies don't feel genuine anymore. They don't feel like don't feel like
forced.
Like you're making a movie for the art form. You're making a movie because
for
an agenda, and that's what sucks about it. Because and I'm not saying like movies that have agendas are necessarily bad. It's just that when that is your whole premise for making that movie,
that's when it turns out shitty.
That's when because you're not doing it for the art form. You're doing it because you're trying so hard to pump a message or say a giant.
You're not doing it to like tell a story. You're doing it to try and, I don't know, prove a point, I guess.
Right.
Because like, here's the thing, like people always call it like woke media or whatever, and like it's honestly not even that. It's just bad writing is what it boils down to, I feel. Because we had like remember Spice World, man? Like, that movie was huge when that came out. I like Spice World. Like, that's a good movie. And then there's like so that would be like we have so many movies now that are like girl power, blah blah blah, but that was like, dude, that was just a good fucking entertaining ass movie that didn't take itself too seriously and was awesome. And then you've got because there's like this whole like women badassery, but it's always like written bad. But you had like the Alien movies back then,
and Sigourney Weaver was a total fucking badass.
I know, like the people think that it's because like you even kind of mentioned like it's because women are shoved, but that's not even it at all. It's just bad fucking writing, man. Like, no effort put into anything. It's just like, why? But back to my like original point where like I feel like it's honestly just like the big media companies are just trying, because the more people are divided, the more like rage clicks and support clicks they get, right? And I think it's up to us, like regular people, to like look at that and be like, no, fuck them. Because if you take your average Canadian and average American, no matter who they're voting for or what they support, at the end of the day, they're supporting and voting for that person because they believe that is the correct route to good things happening. Like, a lot of times, and this is how politics were back in the day, and I do honestly believe that like Trump is a fucking polarizing dude. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, even if
he's
you
out.
support
He's
or
out
don't
of the
right, even if you support or don't support him, his whole imagery is to be polarizing.
Yeah, exactly. But when it came to like regular leaders or people running for government, but pre-Trump, it's like the guy that's voting for this guy and the guy that's voting for this guy, they both see those guys as the best means to possibly the same end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's different ways to go about reaching the same goal. And everybody's essentially going towards the same goal. They all want good things. Nobody, even the people like I don't like Trump. But even the people voting for Trump aren't voting for him because they want him to like fuck up society. They're voting for him because they think he's going to improve society.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like if I am like pro fucking left wing and you're pro right wing, at the end of the day, we're still going to have more in common with each other than like
we think.
Than we think, and then like the politicians that are trying to turn us against each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have more in common with your fellow like regular everyday citizen than you do with like all these like billionaires and politicians and like
it's
leaders and stuff like that. And they're just trying to like turn everyone against each other.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's working. And that's something that we need to end.
To that point, to actually lead that back into video games, you have these people that will take a bullet for these companies.
Oh, Nintendrones
that don't give a fuck about them. I see it all the time with Square Enix. That like, they could literally use shit to paint the disc of their games.
Dude, Nintendrones
and hand it to you to put in your PS5.
Pokemon fans.
And there are people that would say thank you for the opportunity to play this game.
Yeah.
Like, I am okay with supporting a company that you like, but it is not the flex you think it is.
No.
To defend every shitty decision they make. Like,
exactly.
Call them out for the shit decisions they make, or the things that you don't like.
Yeah.
And support the things that you do, because just blindly supporting everything somebody does is just, it's not.
It just leads to downward quality,
right,
like, all around.
Which is exactly what we've been seeing over the last like 10 to 15 years. Like, it's hard to criticize anything because people think you're instantly a hater. But the reason why
you're criticizing it because you want to improve, you want it to improve.
Obviously, you've got to filter out the fucking idiots that are like, this game bad, can't click this game bad. Like, obviously, you've got to filter out those stupid fucking reviews that don't matter.
But sometimes this game bad.
Yeah, sometimes this game bad. But, like, you have to find that happy medium of knowing what criticisms are legitimate to some people and what ones are not. Like, obviously, if I say that I don't like the way this camera is on a video game, to me, that is a bad camera. To you, you might be okay with it. So that's a criticism that you just have to understand is purely subjective and because of me and my taste, or because of my vision, or because of, you know, how I like my characters to look, or my field of vision in the game itself. Like, those are criticisms that you have to know are legitimate. And then there's ones that are like, I don't like that this character's blonde. Blah, this game's bad. It's like,
dude, my favorite probably game review of the past like 2 years was like, and I'm like 99% sure it's like satire, but it's like, I suck at this game. It's bad. Like 1 out of 10.
Dude, I love Dunkey actually makes a riff on this kind of topic. He reviewed Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. And one game, he was like, Pokemon is a dumb game for babies, and it's piss easy or whatever.
It's the same fucking game, but
it's the same fucking game.
He gave like a stellar review for one and like a shitty one for the other.
Yeah, and it's fucking hilarious, because as soon as it starts, it's like, this game is for dumb babies, blah, blah, blah. And then he reviews the other game, which is literally pretty much the exact same game. And he goes, Pokemon is the greatest game ever made. This game has slick turn-based combat. And it's like, holy shit, dude. That is like the greatest two-video joke I've ever fucking seen. Like,
yeah. Dude, he's the best.
He is.
He's definitely like...
He's the guy that when he jokes, people take him so seriously that they get mad about him joking. And to the average person, you can tell that he's joking. But like I said, there's these people that cannot differentiate what is satire and what is literal when it comes to criticism. And like, I get it. Not everybody understands like humor or social cues or anything like that. But dude, like, taking a bullet for Nintendo is not the flex you think it is. Taking a bullet for Square Enix, not the flex you think it is.
That's my only issue with Donkey is he's a bit of a Nintendrone. Like,
but he will make fun of Nintendo games too.
Yeah, he will. Yeah.
You know?
But, yeah, dude. Nintendrones are the worst gaming fans, I feel like. Like you've got your Final Fantasy VII fans. And then you've got your No, I think Nintendo would be right under there. Because I was going to say Kingdom Hearts, but the Kingdom Hearts fans are harmless, man. Like, I don't like Kingdom Hearts games. They are like, okay, I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Kingdom Hearts fans aren't assholes. As much as I rip on Kingdom Hearts, sometimes Kingdom Hearts fans rip on Kingdom Hearts.
Well,
so I used to hate Kingdom Hearts fans, but I honestly don't anymore.
Yeah, even Kingdom Hearts fans are like, we know the writing's fucking stupid, but we like it. And it's like, okay, that's cool.
You gotta respect that.
You gotta respect that.
Yeah.
But then you've got like Final Fantasy fans where like, they will not admit that something's bad. Like, okay, I feel like Square Enix fans fall under the 10-year rule, where after like 5 to 10 years...
Oh, they think a game's good?
They think a game's bad?
Like, Final Fantasy 13 is getting that right now.
Final Fantasy 13 is getting that right fucking now.
It's super weird.
The fastest I've ever seen it is now everybody sucking off Forspoken.
Oh, what?
There's a bunch of people right now on Twitter that are like sucking off Forspoken, saying
it could only be because nobody. It's got to be like you know, when like the like polio, how nobody has it anymore. So they're like, polio probably wasn't that bad, but it's probably like that's how Forspoken is, because it's like nobody has a copy of the game. So like, it couldn't have been that bad.
Our comparison tonight has been spot on. First, our friends are on meth. Now they've all got polio. Like, we're batting 1,000 in fucked upness here.
Yeah, metaphors, maybe.
Yeah, since we got kind of on a tangent, but also back into the topic, and then back on a tangent, and then back into the topic again. Yeah, there's a topic. Let's start. Well, we're probably an hour and a half into this at least, and we're just now on the main topic. So games that transcend their genre.
On a more positive note.
Yeah, on a more positive note, now that we're done bitching about everything under the sun, including the sun.
The Sun in Mario 3, though, top tier. I hate it, but I love it.
Games that transcend their genre. Now, what we're talking about here is games that so let's say you have a genre of games that you don't like. Like, for example, you don't like Souls-likes, right?
Yeah. Or first-person shooter games.
Or first-person shooter
3D
games.
platformers. Or hack and slash games. I don't like a lot of genres.
Jesus, do you like video games at all?
I do.
But so you're like, why are we doing this podcast? No. So like games that maybe get you to play that genre that you don't normally like, but because they hit you in such a way, they transcend that genre for you.
Yeah. Games that are so good that it doesn't even matter what genre they are. You're gonna play them, and it's just like you're like, wow, this was an amazing game, regardless of if it's the type of game you would normally like.
To add to the previous part of our earlier topic, there are people that apologize for Dirge of Cerberus.
That's bad. That's a bad game.
That's a really
honestly,
bad
the
game.
beginning of the game was pretty fun, but I think
it's cool cutscenes, but holy shit.
I think if it would have been like 3 stages and like a $20 game when it came out, it would have been fine.
But anyway, so I had to throw that jab in there. So I'll start. For me, it was Elden Ring. I did not like Souls-likes at all, or Souls games at all. I mean, I fucking hated them. Never liked them. In fact, when I bought Sekiro when it came out, I fucking hated it. I then got fear of missing out with Elden Ring. and decided to play it. And now I'm 6 playthroughs deep and over 400 hours into it. And now I have not only platinumed it, I've platinumed Sekiro, which has now become one of my favorite games. I've got 3 playthroughs in it. I have the platinum for Bloodborne, and I've beaten Dark Souls 1 through 3 and Demon Souls. I've now beaten Lords of the Fallen and Lies of P. So you could say I'm pretty into Souls-likes now. So obviously there are games that just hit you in a certain way and unlock parts of your brain that you don't normally unlock, and Elden Ring was that for me with Souls-likes.
So for me, it's like, it's not even like, for you, it's almost like it opened up a whole genre. But for me, it's like, I still am not a fan of that genre. But there's like the games that just like poke through, right? That are like, wow, that was like fucking incredible.
Like your finger in the toilet paper?
Yes, when you get the old a little butthole action with the TP. So for me, probably my biggest one recently was Titanfall 2, man. Like, I do not like
Great game.
first-person shooter games. I'm really bad at first-person shooter games. The Star Wars Battlefront games I'll play, but like for the most part, like first-person shooter games, I'm so fucking terrible at them that it's like not even worth playing, and I just don't have a lot of fun with them for the most part. But Titanfall 2 was like, if you've never played it and you're not a first-person shooter fan, look into it. If you've never played it and you are a first-person shooter fan, what the fuck are you doing? Because it's got to be the best first-person shooter game I possibly have ever played in my life.
It probably has the best campaign I've ever played for a shooter game.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. Like, I if I'm playing a game, I'm only playing the campaign. Like, I've never bought a any game to just play multiplayer in my entire life, I don't think.
I wouldn't say that. Shredder's Revenge.
No, because I still played through it like single, and we played through the campaign. It was co-op.
Well, yeah,
You know
but
what
I
I
mean,
mean?
still, you bought that knowing full well we were going to play through,
Yeah,
two
but
to 4 players.
but it's not the same as buying Call of Duty just to
Okay,
play it.
yeah,
You know what
okay,
I mean?
that's
Like
fair.
online multiplayer.
That's fair.
I'm only gonna play, like, if I'm buying a game, I'm only gonna play the campaign
Right.
or like mini games and stuff too, right? But Titanfall 2's story was fucking incredible. The gameplay was fucking incredible. All the little like stuff you could do was so well implemented. Like, it really felt like what was that fucking game? Mirror's Edge?
Yeah.
It had like all the good things you could do from that without feeling like shitty. I don't know how to describe my experience with Mirror's Edge, but I didn't enjoy it.
No, neither did I.
And I really wanted to. But it was like, it was so well implemented in that game. And then that wasn't the focus of the game either, right? It was just something that happened to be in the game that was implemented really well. And then like the story, the relationship between the main character and like the mech, and like, fuck me, was that game good. Play that game. The controls were really good. The weapon types, everything about it. I can't think of a single bad thing about that game.
Yeah, Titanfall 2 was really good. I actually did a review of it on my original channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved Titanfall 2.
It was
It
so
it
good.
sucks that Respawn hasn't made another one.
Yeah, no shit. I remember when the first one came out, and I was heartbroken because like the trailers looked great, and I was heartbroken because I found out it was like a multiplayer only game. So
Mhm.
that's why when the second one came out and had a campaign, I was like, oh, I'll pick this up, whatever. Like, the first one looked really cool, and I didn't know what it was gonna be like story wise about at all. I just knew like I like mechs,
Mhm.
and so I was like, oh, I'll check this out, and then it was fucking phenomenal.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's funny that we're talking about a Respawn game because Respawn did the Jedi games. And
Oh, really? Like Fallen Order?
yeah, Jedi games
Oh, I
are
didn't know they did
Souls-likes.
that.
Yeah, Jedi games are Souls-likes. Like, they're built basically on the Souls model.
Right,
And
right.
they're
Yeah, I
really
knew
good.
that, but I
And
didn't know
I've
that was the same
and
company.
I've finished both of those. So
Oh, cool. I had no idea they made those games.
yeah,
That's fucking awesome. For 3D platformers, and I've mentioned before, I can't fucking play them because I have no like 3D depth perception in gaming. Um, but the only ones that ever really drew me in that were so good that I played like almost all the games in the series was Ratchet and Clank.
Mario.
No, Ratchet and Clank and Spyro. And I guess I can't say I played every Spyro. I played Spyro 1 and Spyro 2, okay? But I really enjoyed them. And it's I don't know, Spyro on when the PS1 was like early, I don't think people understand how big Spyro was back then. And it's just like now it's like almost like treated like a secondary thing, just like a lot of those old like mascot platformers and stuff are.
Yeah.
But man, fucking Spyro 1 and 2 on the PS1 were absolutely phenomenal. And then they did those reignited ones and they were really good. And then the Ratchet and Clank games I actually didn't get into until the PS3, like the Future Tools of Destruction on the PS3. And that game, and I don't even know why I got it because I know I don't like 3D platformers. But I think it was like I think I played another first person shooter that really stood out to me, like the Resistance games.
Yeah, those are good.
Those were good. Those need a fucking remaster on like PS4 and 5. But I think it's like cuz like all the like the weird weapons and stuff is what like spices it up. And then when I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess Ratchet and Clank has those too." And then I think that might be what it was cuz I feel like as much as Ratchet and Clank games are 3D platformers, they're also like zany third person shooters
Yeah.
as well kind of thing. So I
And
think that's what kind of drew
collectathons and
me
everything
in.
else.
Yeah. And I think I almost platinumed Future Tools of Destruction because I was missing one gold bolt and I just could not get it for the life of me.
I thought about getting Rift Apart purely so I could try to platinum it.
Rift Apart I heard was really good.
It is.
They're all good, man. I've yet to play a bad Ratchet and Clank game.
Insomniac's
Honestly.
good.
Yeah. Because I went back and bought I have like all the PS2 ones now, and I went back and like played them all, and they're all fucking good. The only one that sucked, I have one on the PSP, and it sucks at kind of ass because you like only play as Clank for the most part, and it
Mhm.
wasn't very good. But those
Um,
ones definitely stand above
I
and
see. I'm a
beyond.
little bit different because I play a lot of different games. Like I play sports games, I play RPGs, I
Yeah,
play, I play a lot of like different genre of games,
genres.
except for Souls likes, and that's why it was
Yeah,
so funny to me that I ended up getting into them and really loving them. Um, I would say if there was a style of game that I'm least open to, I would say, and this kind of tails back to Elden Ring too, I would say it's open world. Like,
yeah,
I
same,
have a love-hate relationship with open world games.
same.
And when everybody's like, "Oh, I can't wait to find out if this game's open world," I'm just kind of like, because we grew up on RPGs that didn't necessarily have open worlds. Like, I guess you could
Like it
argue,
was an open world, but not like a sandboxy open
right?
world.
Like,
I
I guess
guess.
you could argue that eventually Final Fantasy games become open worlds, except for
Well, they're
like 10 and 13,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But like all the old games had airships and you could
Yeah, there's
travel
like a
and
linearity forced by vehicles, basically,
yeah,
right?
there's a forced linearity until a certain point, and then you can start going back to places. So I wouldn't necessarily say that the old games are not open world, but they're not really.
Yeah, it's like a linear open world and very story driven more so
Right.
than
Whereas like when
because
Scar
even like Xenoblade Chronicles is open world as fuck, but it's still like to me, it's got enough linearity that I'm not just like, oh, let's fucking go over there. Like you know, I don't know how
right,
to describe it, but
right. And it's like so when Scarlet and Violet came out for Pokemon, I was really excited for it
I was too.
because for me, the idea of an open world Pokemon adventure sounds badass. Like
Yeah,
it
it does.
sounds cool. And for to be honest, it was for me. I didn't obviously like the performance issues and graphically the game could be a lot better, but I enjoyed my time with it because it was an open world Pokemon game that I had been waiting years for. Like when I watched the Pokemon anime when I was a kid, I always felt like Ash was on this open world adventure where anything could happen. And that's kind of what I wanted Scarlet and Violet to be like. And to be honest, it kind of was. Like, you found water Pokemon in water areas. You found ice Pokemon in the mountains. Like, you found rock Pokemon in tunnels. Like, there were Pokemon you would find in areas that where they should be, like fire Pokemon, like Ninetales would be in a volcano,
Right.
stuff like that. And I think that's cool as fuck. And being able to go and do those things and find these Pokemon and I found a Dragonite just flying through the air. Like,
Really?
that's
kinda cool.
badass, you know? But the problem is that performance issues and everything else that Pokemon has done over the years to not provide a complete
Nerf.
experience
Yeah.
has ruined the reputation of the Pokemon company. And I wish that, like, they would look at what they're putting out. They're a billion-dollar company. They should be putting out fucking banger Pokemon games. And I know they're
Yeah.
limited to the fact that they're on the Switch and all that, but, like, come on. There's plenty of Switch games that look better than that.
Well, look at the fucking Xenoblade games, man. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it just
Phenomenal. Dragon Quest Monsters was fucking incredible, man. I
right.
loved it.
I don't know. It just
Dude, when you said watching Pokemon as a kid and seeing Ash go on these adventures and stuff, it just hit me in the nostalgia so hard. Like,
I know.
because we on like Pokemon Blue, we were on that adventure. You know what
Right.
I mean? Because you saw him. I think it was the first game TV show adaptation that like you the player go on like basically a similar journey to similar places that the main character of the show is in, like is journeying to. And it was just like, wow, like all of a sudden all of a sudden, like as you were saying that, in my head just popped like Viridian Forest, like those
Yeah.
shitty little tree sprites, and like walking through that. But like when I was a kid, man, oh my god, that was the adventure
And
of a
the
lifetime.
sense of adventure and wonder back then was just amazing because you
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect. And it's like now
Yeah.
everything is so cookie cutter that it's like
Yeah.
it's the same. It's weird because there are times where I'm like, I want the
Oh,
same
Pokemon
adventure.
Silver, so
Yes.
good.
It's like the same adventure I had back then I want to have now, but then when you produce
Yeah.
the same game, I'm like, well, this is just kind of boring because it's the same thing I've done already.
But you
You
don't
know,
want like you don't want the same thing as in like the same thing. You want the same, you want a game that gives you the same feeling.
the same feeling, same atmosphere, same sense
Yeah.
of wonder, and I just feel like Pokemon has not had that for a long
I
time.
don't know, has any game had that though? Like, I'm trying to think, like, Dragon Quest 11 is the only game I can think of that had that gave me that same, like, sense of wonder and adventure that, like, those old games used to give.
I don't know. I think the last Pokemon game that I really hammered into,
I really
bes-
liked Sun and Moon, honestly. I
besides
really did.
Scarlet and Violet, was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
That was really fucking good, but it was a remake, so it wasn't that same, like, sense of wonder because it's like, I've been to all these places before.
Right. But still,
It was really good,
it was
but
really good, and it kind of gave me that sense of adventure. I don't
I
know,
really
man.
did like Sun and Moon. A lot of people don't. I get like the what is it? The beasts, the Galacta beasts. I don't know what the fuck they're called.
Yeah,
That storyline was really fucking dumb. But the storyline about like this is how a Pokemon League starts out
begins. Yeah,
basically was fucking cool as shit to
I
me,
also
man.
think it's really cool how in Pokemon like Silver, Gold, and Crystal, you get to face off against yourself from the past.
Yeah, dude. Silver is the best. There's nothing will ever top it. I basically skipped Gen 3 because of how good Gen 2 was. And when I found out that after Gen 3 you don't go back to Johto or anything like that, I was like, well, what's the fucking point? And I didn't get back into Pokemon until Platinum.
I
Or
wish.
until Soul Silver, actually, and
I'll
then I
tell you
played
what I
Platinum.
wish, and this is an MMO that I would probably spend thousands of hours in. If Pokemon came out with an MMO that wasn't like a fan made,
And they put like a lot of good effort into it. And
right?
it was, dude, they could do the honestly the best thing they could do is have it start out in Johto is the best thing they could do. Because you start out in Johto, you could do all of Johto, then you could do all of Kanto, and then create a new region.
Like, they're a
that nobody's
billion-dollar
been to.
company. There's no reason why they could not create an MMO that was just fucking phenomenal.
And everybody would subscribe. Like, they
Oh
could
my
charge
god.
for it. Everyone would
Th-
subscribe to it if they put the effort into it.
Dude, if they charged $15 a month, they would make
Everybody.
money hand over fucking
Yeah.
fist.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know why they've never pulled the trigger on that. That just seems like
Because they don't know how, man. They can't even make fucking regular Pokemon games.
It just sounds like it would print money.
Like, was Sword and Shield the first one that had like those wilderness areas that they're fucking great and
the wild areas? Yeah, I think
they're
so.
just shit.
Well, what pisses me off about the whole thing is that, like, once they find a good mechanic, they get rid of it.
Oh, they always do, like Mega Evolution. The
Mega
best thing to
Evolutions
happen to Pokemon since
Silver. Mega Evolutions is the greatest mechanic in the entire.
I like Z moves too, honestly.
I kind of did. I liked them, but like Mega Evolutions was where it was at.
It's way better. Yeah. And it didn't make Blastoise look like a fucking head of cabbage anymore.
Right.
I've always hated them because on the Game Boy, when I first played Pokemon, I loved Wartortle and Squirtle. And then I remember the first time evolving Blastoise on fucking Pokemon Blue, and I was like, why did he turn into a head of cabbage?
Yeah.
And that's why Wartortle's been my favorite Pokemon, like, ever since.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I miss when games felt like...
Well, Final Fantasy fucking 9, dude, when you get through, like, Gizamaluk's grotto, and you're, like, in this whole other area, and, like...
Yeah.
Or you leave Lindblum for the first time because you're on the run for a good chunk of Final Fantasy 9, and then you're like you end up in Lindblum finally, and then you're like exit Lindblum, and you're like in this whole other area. Like, it's just stuff like that, man. Like,
it's like leaving.
Don't have that.
It's anymore. Like leaving Midgar for the first time, and you realize there's a whole giant world out there.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, like, fuck, man. Games just don't have that sense of wonder. I'm trying to think of any. Like, Dragon Quest XI did, because you're constantly going to, like, all these different countries and stuff like that. They all have their own, like, charms and sensibilities. But I still wouldn't say it had it as much as those other games did.
I think maybe Oblivion.
I don't play Western RPGs.
Oblivion, or maybe Fallout.
Fallout 3, I would say, kind of had a bit of that.
Yeah, because you come out of the vault, and then you realize, like, the entire world is out there.
Fucked. Yeah, I would say Fallout 3 would be the, like, other than and like, I'm not saying it's like one of my favorite games or anything like that, because it's not, like, Fallout 3, but I would say other than Dragon Quest 11, the only other game that's had that in the past, like, fucking maybe 15 years would have been Fallout 3 for me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because when you brought it up, I was like, well, no, but then I thought about it while we were talking, and I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. There isn't really a game that I could say that's really... Maybe Elden Ring, honestly, because, like, you start out in, like, this just pit, and then you open the doors of this, like, tomb that you're in, and all of a sudden you see, like, every major point on the map in view. And you're like, holy shit, this world is massive. And it's basically a map where if I can see it, I can go to it.
Yeah.
And so,
you know, Mega Man Legends was kind of like that for me, because, like, it's kind of open concept, but not really. Like, you're in dungeons all the time and stuff like that. But, like, I always was like, oh man, what are we gonna see next? And I was like, always like, it wasn't a sense of wonder. It was like a sense of like intensity and, like, almost like stress. Cause, like, the last dungeon was, I would just beat it by the skin of my teeth, right? And then you, like, cash in all your stuff to, like, upgrade all your stuff. And then you're like, man, if that was how the last dungeon was, what the fuck are we gonna be up against next? Like, there's also games that, like, gave that, right? And, like, when you say Elden Ring, I think, like, you probably experienced that a lot.
Yeah, well,
too,
it's like so even the Dark Souls games that aren't necessarily open world, you go from one area of the game and you're like, holy shit, I just went through the hardest fucking struggle I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
And then the next part of the game shows up and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But it's a good feeling because you know you overcame the thing before that, so you know you can overcome that. So maybe there's more games like this than I was thinking
But
originally.
it's different though. It's not the sense of wonder. It's a
Right.
different thing.
I
It's like a
think
sense of like fear that like drives you though.
right, but I think what I was gonna go with was for me, Breath of the Wild. It had that. I guess it's kind of a trope now where you exit from like a tunnel or a cave or a tomb or whatever, and then there's just the world.
Right.
Breath of the Wild is another one where I felt like I'm on an adventure. Like,
Yeah, I bet that one would have had that.
It's not just this is a game. Like, this is something I'm walking out into, and the world is just there for the taking.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a Zelda guy, so that game never really like appealed to me all that much. But like, I totally could see it. I could totally see that. Like Ocarina of Time, I think the biggest reason I'm not like an Ocarina of Time fan, but when I was a kid, that was the first ever like 3D. Speaking of like genre, like fucking games that like exceed their genre, Ocarina of Time. I think everybody that grew up at that time period played and loved that game at one time.
And it still is the highest rated game ever on Metacritic.
Really?
It's a 99.
And it's not that good. Like, like no offense, but I don't really like it all that much. But at the time, there was nothing else like that. There was nothing where you were in a 3D open environment and you like adventured in the world and everything looked like at the time like realistic, and it definitely had that sense of wonder. It definitely had that like kid that's like on an adventure in the world kind of feeling. I still think like classic Pokemon possibly did it like best back then, but I distinctly remember like I never had an N64, but I had a friend that did, and we would always like play Ocarina of Time at his house. And I remember like coming home and playing fucking Zelda with like my toy swords and stuff. Like, because like that was something that, yeah, I had played Zelda 1 before. I had played Link to the Past before, and I really enjoyed A Link to the Past. Like I really like it, but even A Link to the Past didn't have that same sense of wonder that Ocarina of Time had. And Majora's Mask, dude, Majora's Mask, I would put above Ocarina of Time any day of the week, and it definitely had that sense of wonder and that sense of dread.
See, what's funny, we were talking about Pokemon earlier, and you talking about like other games in a series or whatever. It reminded me, I think a big missed opportunity for Pokemon in general is not having a new Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, especially now.
Like Pokemon Stadium back in the day, I played the absolute fuck out of 1 and 2.
Yeah, the second one I played a lot. Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like it would be so easy now with everything being online that you could do Pokemon Stadium 3 and have it modern games that go into it, because like you have Pokemon Home, you have the ability to transfer everything within the same ecosystem and everything else. It would be super easy to do Pokemon Stadium 3 and bring all of your mons in. Now, the bad part would probably be balancing it to, like, because it's basically just an arena fighter for Pokemon.
So, like, what I was going to say is, like, is there even a point to having another Pokemon Stadium game ever again? Because the point of Pokemon Stadium back then was seeing your Pokemon in a 3D environment battling, right? Whereas now, every Pokemon game has that.
Right, like, and I guess you could say, like, if the part of Pokemon Stadium was that you wanted to play online, well, you can just play online Pokemon. Like,
yeah.
So I kind of get it, but I feel like it would still sell. I mean, fuck, I think so. Pokemon Snap, the new one sold like crazy.
Dude, the new one is good.
Yeah, the new one is good.
It was way better than the original, and I liked the original a lot.
So did I.
It was fucking great.
I feel like Pokemon just used to be a front runner of the industry, and I feel like anymore they're just copy and pasting.
Yeah. See, I don't even know. I hate to say Pokemon was a front runner of the industry. I feel like Pokemon was a really good entry point into JRPGs for everyone. Like it
Right.
was the most approachable JRPG series of
I
all
think
time.
as a media franchise, it was a front runner because
Oh yeah, as a media franchise
it
for
is
sure.
one of the biggest franchises in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
But I can't even say like Pokemon Soul Silver, my favorite Pokemon game of all time by far. I can't say that I would put that above like any like good Final Fantasy game or like
right,
Dragon Quest
but
game, right? But
I'm talking more like in where it sets in the industry itself.
yeah, like success wise.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest IPs in the world, like
Yeah,
bar
it
none.
is. For sure. Yeah.
I would even I don't know the numbers, so I'm talking out of my ass here, which is what I usually do on this show, but
Yeah.
I would almost be willing to bet that Pokemon is the biggest media franchise in the world.
It could be. It could be. And you know what
Like,
the worst part of that is? Is that the last like 3 games have been like the shittiest ever and the
right,
most low effort bullshit ever, and they're the best selling ones in the series.
right.
That's what's the worst because you're then that's telling the devs to just phone it in forever, right? It's just shit like that is what's killing the industry. The fans that are like, even if you don't like it, you should still buy it to support the developers is
Yeah,
like,
no. If I don't like
what
it,
the
I
fuck,
shouldn't
dude?
buy it. Like,
Just because you don't like getting kicked in the dick, this guy here that says he'll kick you in the dick for $5, you should probably pay him and get kicked in the dick just to support him, you know?
yeah.
Like, holy fuck, who's got money to do that?
Are there any other games that transcend genres for you besides
um,
just 3D platformers and shooters and stuff like that?
yeah, like definitely like the original Doom definitely did, and like Wolfenstein 3D because I wasn't into first person shooters, but those games were like really fucking good.
Mhm.
Like it's really hard to dispute anything about like Doom being really exceptionally really good. Doom 2 kind of like had me by the balls and then kind of got shitty halfway through. Um,
And then Doom 3 not so great.
yeah, Doom 3 was just like a weird game.
Yeah.
A lot of people really like it, but not me, man.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm trying to think. Outrun, the Outrun games. I'm not like a fucking driving or racing game fan whatsoever, but dude, the Outrun games are so good. I think when you take that like arcadey approach to anything that's like normally like very nuanced, you just end up like pleasing everyone. Like look at NBA Jam. You don't have to like basketball at all to enjoy NBA Jam. Everybody loves NBA Jam.
Right. But
I th- I think again, just like what we said earlier about like movies, I feel like games take themselves too serious now too. Where like even like Spider-Man for example, like it's telling like this serious story-driven thing in this like very serious world. Whereas like I like Spider-Man on the PS1 has like all this stupid shit, but that's what made it fun, right?
right.
Like I think games need to go back as much as games are, yeah, they're a front runner. It's the biggest media or entertainment industry in the world right now and the most successful. It's still the games still need to be games, I think, at the end of the day. And I think
Right.
we lost that too.
Well,
We lost the quality
a lot
and
of
we
them are going
lost
towards that like
cinematic
yeah, cinematic movie
which is
quality like
fine. They're like have those games, but we also need games that are just fucking games. And I think that's why the Yakuza series is so popular because they have both of that. They have
right.
the incredible storytelling, but then you've got like the fucking an entire you run into a club of grown men that dress up like babies and you have to go around and like spank them and shit.
Well,
Like, you know what I mean?
what's funny is I like to think of the Yakuza games as like they have a serious story, but it's like you're watching a Bruce Lee movie where like it's supposed to be serious, but there's like these moments
That are so cheesy,
that are so cheesy.
but that's what makes it like adds to the
Right.
greatness.
Because I love Bruce Lee movies, even though
Same.
they're clearly martial arts movies, and those movies always have like
Dude,
the
Drunken Master, like
the
the
over the
Jackie
top,
Chan ones.
yeah, like the over the top side characters, and like
Mhm.
you know you're supposed to think that Bruce Lee's this big badass, you know, and then like these guys are like coming out of a fucking room and they're all gangsters, and he beats every single one of their asses, even there's like 50 of them. That's like
Yeah.
the Yakuza games,
Yeah,
like
dude.
Like, and obviously Bruce Lee, 100% respect to him, one of the greatest martial artists ever to live. But his movies are very clearly like,
They're cheesy.
they're self-indulgent. They're very like, I'm a badass. I'm going to prove to everybody in the world I'm a badass. So I'm going to beat every single person's ass in this room.
Sometimes simultaneously.
Even though there's 50 of them.
Yeah.
But they're campy and they're fun. And that's why they're good. Like,
yeah.
They may not necessarily quality-wise be good, but in a entertainment sense, they're good.
Yeah, and that's what the medium is for, man. It's for fucking entertainment. And I think Sega is probably who's always kind of got that the best, like the most. Like Sega games all still have that arcade feel that I feel like every other company has like thrown out the window because they want to be so serious and cinematic and all this stuff. But like you've got like the Yakuza games, you've got like even like the Sonic games, like Sonic Superstars was fantastic. It didn't take itself too seriously. Frontiers did, and it sucked ass in my opinion. But I don't know, man. Movies. Well, look at the Sonic movies, man. They did really well because they didn't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
They had great messages, and they were fucking fantastic movies that basically retold the plot of a fucking 1993 Sega Genesis game.
And and as much as you don't like Mario, the Mario movie is really good.
Yeah, I'm still not gonna watch the Mario movie.
It's really good, dude. I loved it.
Mario so much.
You know what? Fuck anybody that says that movie's not good, because I loved it. I love that movie. I've seen it like 5 times.
Oh, really?
My kid likes it too, so that's another reason why we've watched it. But, guys, I think that's gonna be it though for the episode. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. That was a good one.
That was a good.
We rambled. This is the most rambly and off topic I think we ever got, but it was a good time, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And remember to ask your questions in the comments and on Shitter and on the Spotify, all that stuff. Ask your questions.
Yep, for sure.
We'll do a Q&A for the episode 15.
Yep, for sure. We'll announce that as well too on our social medias and everything. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. This was a good episode. We caught up a lot on what we've been up to. We, got some opinions out there, and really, I think this was a good episode. So I think this is a good place to end it.
We shucked the old oyster, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone says that. I don't think anyone's ever said that before.
Yeah, I think I don't know. So anyway, guys, don't forget we are on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud for now, and my YouTube channel. And don't forget to leave likes, subscribes, answer to the questions or whatever on each episode.
Ask them even.
And on that note, I think we're done here. So I'm Alex, aka Soldier First Class.
I'm Corey, aka Dookie03.
And you've been watching episode 14 of The Gaming Effect, where we talked about the games industry, the layoff situation, and pretty much everything in between. So, all right, guys, have a good one.
Have a good one.
Later, guys.